Tensions between federal and local authorities in Minneapolis have sharply increased this week after President Donald Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, a rarely used federal law that allows the president to deploy the U.S. military on American soil under specific circumstances. The move comes as protests and unrest continue in the city following multiple shootings involving Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, officers. President Trump posted on social media that if Minnesota's political leaders do not obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from targeting ICE agents, he will institute the Insurrection Act and use it to quickly end what he described as a travesty unfolding in the state. The tensions stem from a series of violent encounters in Minneapolis. Last week, ICE agents fatally shot 37-year-old Renee Good, a local mother, during an enforcement operation. According to federal officials, Good allegedly attempted to run over officers, a characterization disputed by Minnesota authorities. On the evening before the president's announcement, another federal officer shot a man in the leg after what the Department of Homeland Security described as an attack involving a shovel and a broom handle. The incident intensified already heightened anger and fear among residents, prompting renewed protests. Tear gas was deployed by federal agents during clashes, and demonstrations saw rocks and fireworks thrown by some participants. In response to the growing unrest, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche sharply criticized Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, accusing them of enabling terrorism and failing to control the situation. Blanche's comments posted on social media described the local leaders as failed and suggested drastic measures to stop what he called a Minnesota insurrection. Local officials have rejected these accusations. Governor Walz called the federal government's law enforcement presence in his state a campaign of organized brutality, urging residents to protest loudly, urgently, but peacefully. Mayor Frey has similarly condemned the escalation, calling the situation not sustainable, and opposing the heavy federal deployment in the city. The Insurrection Act, enacted in 1807, has been used sparingly in U.S. history. According to the Brennan Center for Justice, it has been invoked in response to about 30 crises, including by Presidents Dwight D. Eisenhower and John F. Kennedy to enforce school desegregation in the 1950s and 1960s. The law has not been used without cooperation from a governor in decades, and its last significant deployment was during the 1992 Los Angeles riots at the governor's request. While the threat to use the Insurrection Act signals an escalation in the federal government's approach to the unrest, it remains unclear whether it will actually be invoked. The situation continues to evolve, with protests ongoing and national attention focused on how both state and federal leaders will navigate the widening political and civil tensions.